That Solomon, son of King David, was one of the wealthiest and wisest men in history. You already know this. But what was the secret of his wealth? Is there a universal wealth code that King Solomon used to become so rich? The answer is yes. In fact, there are three main codes responsible for Solomon's wealth. However, one of these codes is hidden in the Bible, and today you can access this code to unlock wealth and prosperity, as well as anything else you wish to achieve. Today we will discuss a topic that surely interests you: 3 codes to help you become rich. But these aren't just any codes, these are codes used by King Solomon that you can access too. The truth is, if you use these codes, a universe of possibilities may open up before you. Not just wealth, money, and prosperity. Wealth is very subjective. Each person defines it according to their level of awareness. However, accessing these codes, which are also principles that King Solomon used, will connect you with an unlimited source. These codes go far beyond just attracting wealth. They are responsible for 3 things: creation, maintenance, and abundance. This is the tripod of true prosperity. If you have been following me for some time, you know that my goal is to share what I have learned in a simple, clear way that anyone can understand. Now that you've come this far, how about leaving a like? If you're new here, remember to subscribe and activate the bell. The video may be long, but it is valuable knowledge, so pay attention and stay until the end. It's great to have you here. I'm proud to see you being part of this. Before revealing Solomon's 3 codes, pay attention. Many will raise objections about Solomon's wealth, saying, "Oh, but Solomon was born with a silver spoon in his mouth." Others will say that Solomon made several mistakes, and some might mention that Solomon's temple was destroyed. Let me tell you something about wealth. Those who understand wealth know that it creates opportunities and amplifies our virtues, as well as our flaws if we focus on them. The fact that Solomon was born wealthy, being the son of King David, would not guarantee maintaining the wealth, power, and authority that his father had. Similarly, winning a lottery prize does not guarantee lasting wealth. It requires more than that, and we will discuss that. Another important point is that many judge King Solomon for his supposed mistakes. So I ask, who is perfect? The big problem is that people seek perfection and idolize politicians, celebrities, and leaders. When they discover the flaws of these people, they become disappointed and condemn them. Wealth does not guarantee eternal riches, but if you use eternal principles that never die, you can create, maintain, and share wealth. It is worth emphasizing that the purpose of this video is to focus on the codes that Solomon used. My aim is not to impose any religious beliefs on you. The goal of this channel is to encourage free thinking and personal discovery. Determine what makes sense for you. Now let's get to the codes. Pay attention, because the most important code will be revealed last. God appeared to Solomon in a dream and said, "Ask me for anything, and I will give it to you." Solomon replied, "Give me wisdom and knowledge so that I can lead this nation." God told Solomon that he would receive what he asked for, and also wealth, possessions, and honor. Solomon was very young when he became king. According to the Bible, he did not know what to do or how to reign. Solomon asked God for wisdom and discernment to govern his people. Even though he possessed great wealth and was King David's heir, Solomon understood that wealth alone was not enough to maintain the reign and authority his father had. Here we enter the first code that Solomon accessed: wisdom to govern. We can clearly see through Solomon's life that to maintain wealth alone would not suffice to govern, maintain his wealth, and multiply it as he did in his years of reign. Greed had to give way to discernment. Solomon wrote in Proverbs 16:16, "How much better to get wisdom than gold, to get insight rather than silver." In Proverbs 17:16, he adds, "Of what use is money in the hand of a fool, since he has no desire to get wisdom?" Your greatest desire should not be for wealth, it should be for wisdom, and to continually acquire more wisdom. Wisdom and discernment are responsible for creating, maintaining, and multiplying wealth, as well as earning respect from others. Let me tell you something: wealth is already available to you, but you need to be mentally prepared to see it and truly manifest it in your life. You can work on your mindset to receive it well. The second code of Solomon to get rich is about taking possession. This means taking action. Pay close attention now. Lazy hands lead to poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. It is of no use to acquire wisdom if you do not use that wisdom to your advantage and take action. Tell me, Do you really think Solomon simply received a download of wisdom from above, or did God gift him with opportunities so that he could take possession of wisdom and thus be considered the wisest king of his time? What do you think about it? Share your opinion in the comments section. Look, let me tell you something. I do believe that we can indeed have a certain connection with infinite wisdom. We'll discuss more about this in code number 3. However, this wisdom is only true wisdom when we put it into practice. Otherwise, it's just knowledge. Living in the age of knowledge where everything we want is at our fingertips, we know that excess knowledge becomes an overdose. If we don't put it into practice, it's pointless to take a course or read a book about investment from a wealthy author if we don't take action or implement what the author is teaching. In every effort there is gain, but merely staying in words leads to poverty. Wisdom is only wisdom when we put it into practice. Is it clear? I hope so. Leaving aside what Solomon taught and entering into the ask, believe and receive that Jesus taught, I need to open your eyes. Most people who start studying the law of attraction, metaphysics, new thought, and positive thinking think that receiving is simply meditating and waiting for the best. At first, I thought the same way. And of course, I'm not suggesting thinking about the worst, but understand something. Receiving as taught by Jesus means taking possession of what is yours. The verb receive in Latin means to take back or to take possession of. But how do you take it back? Pay attention. Taking it back is accessing in the physical plane what has already been clearly manifested in your mind. I won't go into details today about this topic to avoid making the video too long, but for our conversation to be beneficial today, take what was said with care. Receiving and taking possession is taking action, putting into practice the acquired knowledge as well as the ideas coming from your clear intention. Believe me, when you have a clear intention and use the next code, code number 3, which I'll reveal with action, things simply happen. Returning to Solomon's example when he asked for wisdom, it's interesting to note that after the conversation between God and Solomon in a dream, when God said he would give Solomon not only wisdom and discernment, but also wealth and fame, something happens in the first book of Kings in chapter 3. Verse 16 onward, putting into action the wisdom that Solomon asked God for, not just being a download. At least I believe it's not simply a download. You probably already know this story, but if you don't, it's quite interesting. One day, 2 prostitutes appeared before the king. One of them said, "Oh my lord, this woman and I live in the same house. I gave birth to a son and she was with me in the house. 3 days after my son was born, this woman also gave birth to a son. We were alone, there was no one else in the house. One night, this woman lay on her son and he died. Then she got up in the middle of the night and took my son while I was asleep and placed him next to her, putting her dead son beside me. When I woke up early to nurse my son, he was dead. But when I examined him closely in the morning, I saw that he was not the son I had given birth to." The other woman said, "No, the living child is mine, and the dead one is yours," but the first insisted, "No, the dead child is yours, and the living one is mine," so they argued before the king. Then the king commanded, "Bring me a sword," and cut the living child in half, giving half to one woman and half to the other, the mother of the living child. Moved by maternal compassion, cried out, "Please, my lord, give the living child to her. Do not kill him." The other woman, however, said, "It shall be neither mine nor yours. Cut it in half." Then King Solomon rendered his verdict, "Do not kill the child. Give him to the first woman. She is his mother." When all Israel heard the king's verdict, they respected him deeply, seeing that the wisdom of God was in him to administer justice. Pay attention to the last sentence of this passage. When all Israel heard the king's verdict, they respected him deeply, seeing that the wisdom of God was in him to administer justice. So it means that perhaps before, the people of Israel did not believe that a young man would have the wisdom to reign and manage wealth. Solomon had to prove this by exercising his role as king, and more than that, by putting the acquired wisdom into action. If you truly understand what was said, write in the comments the following sentence to fix this knowledge in your mind to manifest wealth. I put into action the acquired wisdom. I'll repeat to manifest wealth. I put into action the acquired wisdom. And if you want, you can pause this video to write. It is very important that you write this sentence, as it will condense and validate what we have discussed so far. Well, I will assume that you have already written it, and I will continue. Solomon's third code is almost imperceptible in the Bible, and is related to honor, gratitude, and sincerity. Pay attention to this point because it is essential. Solomon loved the Lord, as demonstrated by walking according to the decrees of his father David. But he also offered sacrifices and burned incense in the sacred places. King Solomon went to Gibeon to offer sacrifices, as it was the main sacred place. It's good to repeat it was the main sacred place, and he offered 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. Let me tell you something about this. I'm by no means saying that I agree with burnt offerings and animal sacrifices. That doesn't make sense to me. However, in the time when Solomon lived, this practice was common and through the consciousness of his era, demonstrated an act of gratitude. And that's the point I want to make. Solomon had a sincere and very grateful heart. This is well observed when God in a dream makes the following declaration to Solomon, "Ask me what you want, and I will give it to you." Now look at Solomon's response. "You have shown great kindness to your servant, my father David, because he was faithful to you and righteous and upright in heart. You have continued this great kindness to him and have given him a son to sit on his throne today. Now, my Lord God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David. But I am only a young man and do not know what to do. Your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a people so great that it cannot be counted. Therefore, give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong." Solomon, even before asking for and accessing the wisdom that would make him one of the richest and wisest men in the history of humanity, according to the Bible, the wealthiest and wisest man of his time had a grateful and sincere heart. My friend, before anything else, be grateful, sincere, and clear about what you want. I sincerely hope that you understand that wisdom is worth more than gold, that diligent hands manifest wealth. And if you don't know what it means to have diligent hands, research it, okay? And there's more. A grateful and sincere heart has a connection with the infinite source where all the answers and solutions lie. Our video is coming to an end, but our conversation continues in the comments. I want you to tell me below everything that made you think about watching this video today. Is there anything you disagree with? The teachings could change your life if you allow everything to make sense and start applying the things said here today in each step and decision. It's never too late to start living the life you've always dreamed of. Allow yourself. I hope you enjoyed today's content. Farewell, and see you in the next video.